Welcome to the LA Real Estate Podcast. That's right, the one and only Los Angeles real estate podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about buying and selling real estate in Los Angeles. We're going to be talking about buying your first home, the hottest areas in LA to buy that home, and the top 10 things to focus on in your home search. I'm sitting here with the one and only Sara Skelton. Sara, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. And I'm here with my one, my only, my favorite bandmate, Tanner Thomason. CP, the producer in the other room, did not hear that.
Yeah, he's totally not giving me the finger right now. So what have you been up to this last week?
Not much. Just work, kids. My two little boys, 5 and
Tommy
7.
And Henry.
Yes, Tommy lost his front tooth a couple days ago. So that was a big deal.
I saw that photo. It's really cute.
Yeah, it's very cute. What about you? What have you been up to?
Just work stuff. Over, doing the ET Live thing, doing the streaming, talking the entertainment, pop culture stuff. Pretty busy doing that. And then, as you know, I've been going through the ADU process, and boy, is that a circus.
So ADU, accessory dwelling unit.
That's right.
Basically, a little guest house on the property that you can legally rent out.
Yeah, and I'm sure at some point in the future we'll get all into that.
Yeah, we'll definitely have a podcast in the future all about ADUs, so accessory dwelling units.
All right, Sara, so how do I know that I'm ready to buy a house? Here we are, buying versus renting. What's our pros and cons here?
Okay, so before you decide if you're going to buy a house, there's really three main things you want to think about. Mm-hmm. Number one, this is the biggest one. Mm-hmm. Are you emotionally ready?
Right.
Are you ready to take on the fact that you are going to be responsible for the maintenance? Mm-hmm. You are in charge of paying your bills, your property taxes, your mortgage. Basically, you will be adulting.
Oh my God. Buying a house is the most adult thing I've ever done in my life. For you guys listening, Sara and I have known each other for over a decade. And a couple of years ago, I was ready to buy my first house. And Sara's a realtor, and I trust her with everything. And so I said, Sara, let's do this. And we started looking at houses. I'd lived in tiny little apartments all over LA. And holy crap, you are an adult when you buy a house.
It's a big deal. It's a huge change, an amazing change, but it's a little scary. I mean, this is the biggest purchase that most people make in their life is buying a house. So the first thing, are you emotionally ready? It's a big jump. It's a little scary. There's a lot of emotions during the process, but the big one, are you ready? Really, are you ready to buy? The second thing is you have to have the cash. So do you have the money for a down payment? Now, in this market, you don't necessarily need a huge down payment. We're seeing a lot of loans with 10% down, a little more, a little less. You don't necessarily need 20% down to buy a home, but you do have to have some funds for the down payment. A lot of people get these funds from family. I know the stock market right now is really high, and a lot of parents see this as a really good opportunity for their children to create some stability, to create equity, and to just have a base for their children. So we do see a lot of people getting funds from their family to help with the down payment. And then, of course, the third is the loan. Can you qualify for a loan?
Can you get a loan?
Can you get a loan? That is what we call the mortgage. So a loan for a house is called a mortgage. And do you qualify for a mortgage? Can you get that loan? Is your income stable enough? Do you have a work history that qualifies you for a loan? Or do you have a whole bunch of outstanding debt, which would disqualify you for a loan? So those are the three main things to think about when are you ready to buy?
Circling back just for a minute, the emotionally responsible thing, I was so used to living in apartments, and when something went wrong, you called somebody else. And I never worried about the roof.
Right.
If the trash compactor messed up, I called my apartment manager. And now that I own a house, obviously it's all on me. I was lucky and was able to get the down payment together. I'd worked on a show and it saved up a good amount of money. So it was something I was able to do. And then the loan thing, when you get to talking about jobs, what are the things specifically that banks and lenders are looking for from someone who's looking to get that loan or to get that mortgage?
Well, a lot of it is, do you have big amounts of debt? Do you have debt? Your work experience and history. So do you have a job?
Right.
Because what banks don't want is they don't want to lend you money and you not be able to pay your bills, because now all of a sudden they have to foreclose on your house. It's a big thing. So we're actually going to be talking to a mortgage broker in the next podcast. So she's going to go through, break down the loan process, what it takes to get a loan. And another thing to really focus on is when I talk to people that are thinking about buying but not really sure, they talk about, I don't know if I want the responsibility of a mortgage.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If you rent, you're paying a mortgage.
Oh, my gosh.
You're paying your landlord's mortgage, right?
Absolutely. You're paying somebody else's mortgage, because that's the thing is, like, rent in LA is so incredibly high. If there's any way possible to get that down payment together, I don't care if it's, you say sometimes they're doing it as low as 10% now.
Absolutely. And actually some you can get even lower. I mean, you can sometimes do 5% down, but it's harder to get your offer accepted.
Well, and the thing that's so crazy about that is it's not uncommon in LA for someone to see $2,000 a month or more for rent on an apartment. That's super common, especially in a lot of the popular areas in LA. And it's just one of those things where, like, hey, if you're willing to get into some other locations, you can take that $2,000 a month that you're already paying and put that into your property if you can get the down payment together.
Absolutely. Now, here's something that people don't think about, which is equity. So say you're paying $2,000 a month for your rent. That money, gone. It's in the garbage. It's gone. You're never going to see it again. Say your mortgage is $2,000. Every month that you pay your mortgage, you're also paying down the money that you owe the bank. So you might have the house for a few years, and all of a sudden, if you get a $400,000 mortgage, all of a sudden, now I only owe $380. Now I only owe $350, and now you have equity, which is really cash in your pocket. When you sell, you can pull that money out. And that is how people build wealth.
I know that's something we're going to get into a lot more deeper later on. But right now, Sara, just tell everybody, I want you to say it out loud, what you've sold in real estate.
Well, I have sold, I don't have the exact figure in front of me, but tens of millions.
Yeah.
I think maybe around 40 million-ish.
Okay.
I've been in real estate for 4 years. In my second year, I became a top producer. And I've won, I'm going to humble brag, I won a few platinum awards. Hey-o. I work at Keller Williams Los Feliz, and we have about 400 or so agents in the office, and last year I was number 6 in individual gross sales. So, gross commission, I believe.
Hold on, I'm going to take that horn and go toot toot. But so it's obvious that obviously, especially, I mean, oh my gosh, I can only imagine among 400 agents, people are talking about where are the best places to look and buy houses these days. Where in LA, let's say I'm a new buyer, I haven't bought my house, I'm looking to buy, where should I be looking?
Well, I've got a few favorite little pockets of LA. The thing about LA is we're so block to block. So you could be in an area that's considered bad, and 2 blocks away could be a great area. So one of my favorite pockets of LA is Northeast LA. Yeah. Highland Park, Eagle Rock, Glassell Park, Mount Washington, Cypress Park. It's a pocket of LA. I live in Mount Washington. And the prices have gone up around there, but there's still little areas around there where it's affordable, and I think the prices are going to go way up. So Cypress Park, I think, is a great buy. The city is working on the LA River project.
Oh, yeah.
So we think that's going to increase values in the area. It's walkable. Great big lots, the really cute craftsmen and Spanish-style houses. So I think Cypress Park is a great buy. And, there's also Altadena. I've sold a few houses in Altadena. My clients absolutely love it. It's a little bit east, so if you need to commute to the west side, that wouldn't work. But if you work from home and you're a creative type, Altadena is great. I love the houses, lots of character, sweet neighborhoods, and big lots. Yeah. And then there's another part of LA that I really like. You might be familiar with it.
Oh, maybe I've heard of it.
Lake Balboa.
Lake Balboa. I live in Lake Balboa, and I love it. We looked at houses all over, I think. A lot of the valley. I've been living in the valley for years and kind of wanted to stay in the valley. And got over into looking around Van Nuys, Reseda. I think we looked as far as Tarzana. Yeah. And, man, I feel super lucky. I'm glad that I live in Lake Balboa. It's funny because it's more less Van Nuys adjacent,
Really? Yeah.
Because it's like, is this Van Nuys? Is this Lake Balboa? Because either city.
What I love about Lake Balboa, too, is so I really love styles of houses. There's some really cute mid-century houses. Yeah. A lot of the houses have great backyards with pools. Mm-hmm. And it's a great layout.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I got super duper lucky. I love my house, and I got on a little cul-de-sac, which if anyone's listening and you're looking to buy a house in LA, a tough thing to get in Los Angeles is a sense of community because it's so large and there's so many people. And it's tough to get that in an apartment building. I think it's tough to get that in a house, but I'm on this little cul-de-sac, and so I know all of my neighbors. Nobody drives down the street unless they live there or just happen to be looking for parking, which is kind of rare, and I just feel super lucky.
Your neighborhood feels very safe.
Yeah.
It's sweet and cozy. I remember when we went to look at the house for the first time, one of your neighbors came out and told us everything.
Oh, yeah.
Everything about the block and the street. That's actually a good little tip is when you do find an area you like, start talking to the people that live there because neighbors will tell you more than anything else.
Oh, yeah. She's the mayor of Hamlin, and
Absolutely.
We love her. So random spitball pitch here. Let's say I'm listening to this and I say, hey, I don't need a realtor. For whatever reason, I got $500,000 cash. Why would I want to work with a realtor?
Well, as a buyer, working with a realtor is free. So that's kind of a big thing. There's no reason not to. A realtor is going to be there every step of the way, guiding you through the process, making sure the paperwork is done correctly, helping you get your pre-qualification for a loan, helping you arrange inspections, guiding you through every step of the way. And buying a house is very complicated.
Buying a house is the most complicated thing I've ever done. I was not prepared. It's almost like taking the ACT. Like, that's how much paperwork there is. That's how complicated it is. And it also feels like I'm going to ruin my life if I do this wrong.
It's scary.
It is scary.
You want someone who has experience, who's done this before, has the right people to connect you with, and to guide you through the process. Because really, once you place your offer and it's accepted, escrow is approximately 30 days, and there's a lot of moving parts within that 30 days. So
and you're talking about, like, once the offer is placed on the house, I've been approved for the loan. At this point, the banks are handling paperwork, and they're crunching numbers, and they're figuring out if they're going to take this deal or not.
Right. The real estate agent, the realtor, is there to protect you. It's there to protect your best interest, to make sure the paperwork is being done correctly. You're getting the best deal with the best terms. Basically, they're there to help you, protect you. Yeah. So there's no reason not to use a realtor. And when you do look for a realtor, you want to make sure they're experienced. I think it's important that they're working with a good, reputable brokerage. Oh, yeah. So I work with Keller Williams. There's Keller Williams offices all over the country, all over the world, actually. And the brokerage acts, so if I was a lawyer, they would be my law firm. So Keller Williams is my brokerage, and they oversee the entire transaction. So it's really important to work with someone who's experienced, reputable, who has maybe an online presence, who has good reviews. That's really important because you really do want to vet the person you're working with. So, and that's pretty much it. But there's no bad reason to use a realtor. Yeah.
And if you're lucky, this is somebody, if you're lucky like me, this is somebody you've known over a decade.
Right.
And someone you feel super comfortable going down this crazy process.
And a good realtor will make the process fun. It doesn't have to be scary. It can be a lot of fun.
I mean, it is a little scary.
And a lot of fun. Here's a buyer's tip. What's the best way to decide which neighborhood to live in? Go there and make sure you go at different times of the day. There might be a lot of parking during the day, but if you go in the evenings, there's absolutely no parking. There could be noise issues. Anyways, the best way to really get to know a neighborhood is to go different days and different times of the day.
Okay, so why are we doing an LA real estate podcast?
Well, Tanner, first of all, I'm so excited that you're my co-host because
thank you.
Tanner, I'm going to brag about Tanner here a little bit. Tanner has done hundreds and hundreds of interviews. He's done live television, Do you want to talk a tiny bit about your experience, Tanner?
Maybe, a tiny bit. I guess I started working in the entertainment industry in 2005, grinding it out in all kinds of capacities. And then I guess sort of most notably had a little internet show that made the leap to syndication through Fox and some other stuff called Hollywood Today Live. And then we did a couple hundred episodes, and it was live entertainment news and pop culture. And it was a blast. And now I'm currently doing something very similar for CBS Interactive, and it's called ET Live, and we're a live streaming app where we also cover entertainment news and pop culture. And so as a co-host, I got what you need.
I know. Tanner's here to keep this fun and keep me on track. Because the reason I wanted to do a podcast on real estate is I find obviously I'm always repeating the same information, but I feel like there's never enough time to explain the nuts and bolts to all of my clients. Right. So, obviously we talk about getting a mortgage and we talk about inspections and we talk about title insurance, but often we don't have time to sit and talk for a good amount of time about a specific topic. So I really wanted to have a show where I can break things down so everybody listening can really get to know as much as possible about the transaction, because 30 days goes by really fast.
Oh, super fast. And just to be super transparent, if anybody hasn't picked it up, I bought my first house from you.
Right.
Or with you, I guess, is probably the right thing to say. And we did that in 2017. We drove and looked around at many houses. We put offers in a couple different houses. I'm super happy that I got the one that I got. And so I was a first-time buyer. And so, besides the fact that we, we're a flippin' awesome rock and roll band.
So let me just jump in there. So Tanner and I have known each other for over 10 years. We're both musicians, and we met and we joined a band together, basically. And CP, who is our producer, is also in our band. So we don't play that much anymore because we had to get real jobs. But we still like to rock and roll.
Yeah, we still make a lot of noise.
We still play shows occasionally. So Tanner is an amazing guitar player. I'm a drummer. I used to play professionally as a drummer for a few years before I had kids. So I got to do some pretty cool things and traveled. And
you played for the troops in Iraq.
I played for the troops in Iraq, yeah, and Germany and Korea. And that's probably one of my biggest musical accomplishments.
It's huge.
It was a lot of fun. And and Tanner has done some pretty crazy things. You filmed a commercial where you swam with the sharks. Didn't you?
I booked this Gillette commercial years ago where I literally had to go underwater and shave with sharks, because it was all about how Gillette razors weren't supposed to nick you, and because obviously if you're bleeding in the water with sharks, that's an issue.
And they were real sharks.
Oh yes,
right?
Oh yes, very real.
Really impressive. So you are listening to a podcast on real estate with a guy that has swam with sharks. This is how dangerous and exciting this real estate podcast is. So it's going to be fun.
We're edgy.
We're super, super edgy. So the podcast, look, we're going to do a lot of different episodes. We're covering everything you need to know about real estate. We're going to be talking about title insurance. What the heck is that? Escrow. What do they do? The loan process, inspections, everything you need to know to buy or sell your house, we're going to be covering. So the first group of episodes, we're going to be talking mostly to buyers. However, if you're thinking of selling, it's great to listen to these as well. You can get some perspective into the buyer's mind. And then later on, we'll be also doing a seller series as well.
Yeah, and also this is aimed at the first-time buyer. If you've bought 4 or 5 houses at this point, I don't know.
Some of this you might already know. However, you might pick up things you don't know.
Certainly. You'll certainly pick up things you don't know. Oh, speaking of something you might not know, my house in particular, I had the garage back there, and whoever owned the house in the mid-2000s had started to convert it. But here in L.A., only recently has the ADU become a thing. The city of L.A. Created the ADU permit, which is the accessory dwelling unit. And so I'm currently going through the process of converting what was a garage that kind of got converted into a guest house, and now I'm trying to fully convert it and get it permitted so that I can add it to my square footage and potentially have it as a rental property. And so I'm sure that's something
we'll definitely be doing an episode about that. Yeah,
dig into that
a
later.
lot of people want to know about ADUs.
And, oh, boy.
You know, it's an ordinance that came into effect. We don't know how long it's going to be around. Mm-hmm. There is a bit of pushback. Mostly people are annoyed about the parking.
Yeah.
So if someone gets an ADU and there's multiple people living on the lot, maybe parking can get a little better, a little worse. Well, mostly worse.
Mostly worse.
Mostly worse. So we don't know how long ADUs are going to be around, and that's why I think there's such a demand for them right now. People want to get them through because once an ADU, it actually changes your title. Mm-hmm. So once you have a titled ADU on your title report, you can legally rent on your property forever.
Bada bing.
Bada bing.
Trying to make that money. But yeah, those are some of the things we're going to get into. And who knows, maybe we'll tell our flipping amazing stories from our rock and roll past.
Maybe we will. Maybe we will. So yeah, this is our very first podcast.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Random internet person thinking about buying a house in Los Angeles.
It's probably my mom and my brother listening right now.
And then honestly, my mom, because she stalks me just enough on social media.
That's amazing. And we will have links. So in the description for the podcast, we'll have links to whoever we're interviewing. You can go to our website. Obviously, if you need a realtor, obviously can reach out to me at any time. And we'll be answering questions on the air. So if you have some pressing questions, you can email them to us on our webpage.
All right. Well, we're going to give you another little tip, and we're going to come back with your top 10 things to focus on in your home search.
Don't hate me, ladies, but here's my buyer's tip today. Don't have a wedding. Or if you do have a wedding, have a very modest wedding. Use that money as a down payment for your house. Do not blow 50, 40 grand for one day. Take that money, put it towards a down payment. You'll be thanking me in a few years.
When you're divorced. Ba-da-ba-doo-ba-doo. Here are the top 10 things to focus on in your home search. We're talking about the 10 things that when you're ready to buy your first home, you really need to pay a lot of attention to. And number one is location.
Location trumps everything.
Yeah.
Location is more important than anything else when you're looking for your home. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure that it's a place you want to live.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is not something you can change. Mm-hmm. So check out the neighborhood. What's the commute like for your work? What are your neighbors like? What's the community like? Is it a place you want to live? Location is so important. And again, there's some great locations around LA that you might not be familiar with. So cruise around, find some great spots, check them out. And, but yeah, number one on the search, location.
I don't say keep looking until you find that right location.
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't settle there. Number two, bed bath count. I got a 3-bed, 2-bath, and boy, am I happy that I got 2 baths.
Right. 2-bath is actually very, very, very high on a lot of people's list, and it's a deal breaker to a lot of people if a house only has 1 bathroom. So you want to focus when you buy on a house, not just on what you need, but what's going to happen when you resell. And having 2 bathrooms is huge. The difference of value between a 2-bedroom and a 3-bedroom is also huge. So if you can afford a house maybe that needs a little cosmetic work, but it has 3 bedrooms, always go for the 3-bedroom. And another thing, if you have 3 bedrooms and you get into a financial rough spot, you have a room to rent out. You could potentially get a roommate.
Look, I make no qualms about it. I'm a single guy. I bought a 3-bedroom house, and I currently rent out one of those rooms. And that goes a long way. It's one of those things like being a single guy, I don't need 3 bedrooms. So it made sense for me to rent one of those rooms out.
So funny story, when my husband and I bought our house in 2008, CP, our producer, was one of our roommates.
Hey.
And we also rented out, I think, 2 other rooms. So our renters over-covered our mortgage. We lived like kings.
There it is.
Yeah. Number 3, potential for equity.
Now, this is something you know all about at this point.
So when you buy a house, you want to know what what it can be, the potential for equity. Equity basically means the money that you have in the house. So if you sold the house, how much you would net, how much you would put into your pocket. And potential for equity. So we always want to buy houses that have potential, meaning maybe the walls are really ugly, the kitchen's outdated, it's got carpet. And if you took all those things and you renovated them, your house would be worth $100,000, $75,000 more, which in the LA market is actually pretty realistic.
Absolutely. LA market moves fast.
You put in $40,000, but now your house is worth $100,000 more. And the house we bought had popcorn ceiling. It had an outdated kitchen, outdated bathrooms. And over the years, my husband and I, we've renovated a lot of things in the house. And our house is now worth double what we bought it for, well over double, actually. So that's what we're looking for, potential for equity. So basically getting a good buy, getting something you can make better.
Well, and it's understanding the LA real estate market and knowing that like houses just go up in value. That's all they do here. Number 4, talking about square footage and layout of the house. To me, this is a very important thing because you want a house. I don't know, you need enough square footage for yourself. If you have a pet, that's something you want to think about. The number of people who are going to be around, the layout of the house is super important because you don't want to walk into your house and be bummed about it.
Well, and you also don't want to outgrow your house too quickly.
Yeah.
So, for example, you get a tiny little house, but you're thinking of having a child. And with a baby, this house now is going to feel way too small. So, again, it's something you want to sort of keep your eye on. Can you grow with the house? Outdoor space. This is huge.
Oh, so this was really high on my list when we were looking for a house because I wanted a pool. I very much wanted a pool. I'd lived in tiny apartments. I wanted a space where I could have people over for the first time in years. And so for me, this was a big one.
Right. And we live in California.
Yes.
I mean, we have beautiful weather. So you want to be able to go outside and enjoy the weather. So that's important. Having 2 little boys, I know how important having a yard is. Now, there are some people that do not want a yard. They don't spend time outside and they don't want to deal with maintenance of a yard. And those people tend to prefer houses with views. So getting a house in LA with a view and a yard, it's possible, but you have to spend a lot of money for that.
Yeah, you got to be balling for that.
Exactly. So, some people love having a view. So that's important to people as well. Kitchen size, this is huge. Kitchens and bathrooms, I'm sure you've heard this, they sell houses. So you also want to be thinking about that for resale. Does it have a great kitchen? This is one thing about my house that I don't like. We have a small kitchen. And my poor husband, every time he goes to the kitchen and I'm trying to get a cup of coffee, I'm like, our kitchen is too small for the both of us. So kitchen is important, kitchen size. If you do a lot of cooking, you want a nice kitchen.
Parking is a big one. Got to watch out for parking. Like I said, on my little cul-de-sac, we're already starting to get a little squashed for parking. But then also, that's just a thing anywhere in LA. Neighbors, I think, is really important.
Oh, absolutely. If you want to know, so something that can make your life at home amazing or terrible is a neighbor. We have great neighbors. We are so lucky. I love my neighbors.
Me too. I'm super lucky.
When I was pregnant, the grandpa that lives next door used to bring me watermelon from the farmer's market.
Oh.
And they bring us food all the time.
Yeah.
I bring them our food, which I feel bad about a little bit because I'm a terrible cook. So I'm like, here's something I made. It's probably mediocre, but the thought's there.
Absolutely.
And I know you love your neighbors.
Well, I feel like I'm just so lucky because of the little cul-de-sac that I live on and my neighbors and even the kids in the neighborhood. Like, there are kids, because it's a cul-de-sac, there's not a lot of traffic. The kids will play in the street sometimes. I've hosted a whole neighborhood, like, barbecue and party in my backyard,
That's so fun.
And so that's a lot of fun.
And also for security. So although you might be in a safe neighborhood, this is LA. So having neighbors that'll keep an eye on your place when you go away for the weekend, or just they hear a crash at your house, they're keeping an eye out. And we've definitely had experiences where our neighbors have called just to check in, like, hey, we saw someone in your backyard. And I'm like, oh, no, that was just a friend, or I was getting a quote for some work. But they're keeping an eye out, and that's great, too.
Yeah, good neighbors. Can't say enough about them. And school district. I don't have to worry about this yet, but I know you have.
Well, what's funny about that is when you say I don't have to worry about this yet, exactly. You don't have children, so the school district might not be that important. But when you go to sell the house, again, you want to consider when you're buying what's going to happen when you eventually sell. Statistically, you're probably only going to be in your house for 5 to 7 years. Right now, it's a little bit more like 7 years. But you want to keep an eye on the school district because that will increase the value. Also, though, it will increase the purchase price. So, there's Silver Lake. Being in the Ivanhoe School District increases the value of your house a giant amount. Because when you think of the cost of private school, if you're paying $30,000 per year per child, it's a crazy amount of money. So being in a good school district is really also important. Something you at least want to know when you're buying the house. If it doesn't matter to you, that's fine. But just remember when you go to resell, that will be a factor.
Yeah. Tip number 11, don't have kids. Jesus, 30 grand a year for school?
I know.
Good gosh.
And that's not a big estimate. I mean, yeah, kids are really, really, really expensive. So when you have kids, you want to be in a good school district.
Oh my gosh, that's the end of episode 1.
Woohoo! We did it.
We did it. Hey, first off, thank you very much for checking us out, guys, and spending your time with us.
Thank you. Thanks to CP in the control room.
On the next episode, we're going to be talking with Natalie Salins from Movement Mortgage, and she's going to tell us all about loans and the pre-approval process. So stay tuned. Check it out.
Yeah.
Click the subscribe button if we're doing the subscribe-y thing.
If we have one, click it.
Yeah, or the like button. Hit that.
Like everything.
Yeah, do the likes. Stalk us. Don't do that.
Yeah, you can stalk me.
Maybe a little.
A little.